MnDOT's project is basically a repaving project of 35, E&W and 35 up to the county line north of Highway 8. So it's putting a new concrete surface on the roadway, much like was done with 35E a few years ago, just putting a new concrete surface on. So that's the primary project we're doing out here. And we're going to start in 17 and finish, and most of the work will be in 2018. With that project, we're also replacing 3 bridges. There's some structural issues that we want to address, and replacing the bridges seems to be the most cost-effective way to do that. So the first bridge on the south is the 35W over 35E bridge right at the split. That one will be replaced offline, so the traffic impacts will be reduced at that location. The next bridge is the Highway 97 bridge over 35. That'll be replaced, and we'll come back to that in a little bit. And then the third bridge is the Highway 8 bridge over 35. That bridge is also being built offline to minimize traffic impacts and make some safety improvements to that weave area between southbound 35 when Highway 8 comes on. It's a very short distance to where Broadway comes off. It's what we call a weave area. We're lengthening that with the project to improve flow and safety of that area with that project. The configuration at the 35E and W junction basically stays exactly as it is today. We are replacing the bridge, but we're doing it in a slightly new location so we can maintain traffic on the old bridge while we build the new one. Most people, when it's all said and done, they won't even know we did anything differently, but we're doing a little bit of tweaking in that area to help maintain traffic through that interchange. For the bulk of the time, traffic will be maintained on both E and W. There are some time periods, like when the bridge beams go up, that we'll have to close southbound 35E, but that's usually in the middle of the night, so most people won't realize those detours are occurring. So the new bridge at 97, we're building a new bridge. We've talked in the past about resurfacing the bridge. That's no longer on the table. We're actually going to replace the bridge. With the MnDOT project, we're basically replacing it in kind. We can make some improvements, or we are going to make some improvements. We're going to widen the shoulders on the bridge. We're going to add a left turn lane, which it currently doesn't have. So we're making some what I'll call modest improvements to the crossing, but there is a much grander vision for a full new interchange there that we simply don't have the funding for right now. The bridge that MnDOT's building is funded, but that's in more of the $3 million range. The grand vision, or the bigger vision for addressing all the needs out there, is in the $15 million range. The city and the county and a lot of other interests in this area are lobbying for those funds, both at the state and federal level. If they get those funds, we'll be building that bigger interchange. Without those funds, we're going to build a smaller, basically replacing what's there, but we're going to do it in such a way that'll be compatible with that future vision. Should those funds come a few years from now, then that could easily be dropped into place. It'd be another project, but it'll add on to what we've already done with the MnDOT project.
All right, I'm Brian Carey with MnDOT, talking here a little bit about the I-35 resurfacing project we have. This is actually the ultimate vision of what will happen at I-35 and Highway 97. What is pictured here is actually not funded yet, and is not really part of this project that we're talking about, but it gives you the future vision of what we would be planning along with the county for this interchange. As part of the resurfacing project on I-35, we would be reconstructing the existing 97 bridge out there, but we would only be constructing really, we would be building the first half of what would ultimately be a 4-lane bridge in the future once this entire picture would be constructed. This type of interchange is known as a diverging diamond, and what you would have is traffic heading westbound would actually cross over the eastbound traffic here at the first signal, and westbound will end up on the opposite side of the bridge and then crisscross back over once you get over on the other end of the interchange. The advantage of that is for an interchange that has a lot of heavy left turn movements, which this one does, with a lot of people going west to south. If you're traveling west to south, you would go through one stoplight, and then you would have a free left turn going onto that southbound ramp. So you'd only have to go through one stoplight as opposed to the 2 that you have today.
Well, we're working hard to get the funding. It's a regional bridge. It involves lots of areas. And so we're working with the county and the state and trying to get the funding in place, because that's the biggest part. The funding they have now is not enough to put the bridge to where it should be, and we're looking for those extra funding to realign some streets and get the overall people moving again, because it's a backup all the way to Quick Trip, and so we're all aware of that. And Forest Lake is working with us, and Washington County, so Anoka County. Shutting the bridge down for any period would definitely harm all the businesses in the area. Some of them may be irreparable harm. So we're working, and we've made that clear to the MnDOT personnel.
Have they responded well to that?
They have, and I think there will be a way around it, but without any pressure, they would have just shut it down and, yeah, you're done. We'll fix it. It's cheaper and quicker to do it with it shut down.
We've had a lot of discussion both with Columbus, the elected officials in the area, the businesses, understand this is their lifeblood that comes through this interchange. It hasn't quite been determined how it's going to be built. We know kind of what needs to be built right now with the funding that's available. Now we need to think through how it'll actually be built. So the one that would be the fastest, the cheapest, but also cause the most impact would be simply to close the interchange, drop the bridge, build the new bridge, and open it up. So that's the fastest and cheapest way, but it also has the greatest impact. So we're looking at a staged approach now where we'll do a little bit of widening on one side, move some traffic over, and then replace the rest of the bridge. Has less impacts, it'll take longer, it's a little more expensive, but it seems like something we could do. If the full interchange is being constructed, we're going to a much wider bridge, and that opens up a whole different realm of possibilities to maintain traffic. So we're still looking at a range of options for building the bridge and what those impacts may or may not have on the residents as well as the businesses. So we're still working through those issues.
So right now it is a curved bridge that comes onto 35 southbound. Our plan is to come straight across with the road and then put in a loop to go southbound. The reason why we're proposing to do that is to increase the weave distance between that and the Broadway Avenue interchange. A weave distance refers to the amount of room you have to get onto and out of traffic. And so by increasing the weave distance, we are increasing the safety of that section of road. These aren't necessarily the final plans, but this is what we're proposing at this time. We did look at that movement from Highway 8 to go northbound on 35. We found that movement to be a relatively small amount of people that wanted to make that move when we looked at the regional model. A lot of folks that do that now come on 61 there and go up through Wyoming. They're kind of going in the same direction anyways when they do that. Our design does not preclude that from happening in the future if that need becomes apparent or wanted. So we are kind of setting up our work to be compatible with that future desire if it's there.
We have a lot of concerns on Clear Lake, throughout the lake, actually, about the increased noise levels from the Interstate 35W. And we happen to be one of the few areas in the metro that doesn't have a sound wall for our lake or any other type of noise abatement structure or process or whatever. Meanwhile, the freeway traffic has continued to increase. We're now at 80,000 cars a day, or vehicles, trucks going through that, and going past Clear Lake, right, without any kind of sound deterrent whatsoever. So as anyone who's ever been on a lake would know, sound carries right across that lake. And it's deafening. It's absolutely deafening when the wind comes from the west, which is the prevailing winds. So here we have an opportunity where we're going to repave, resurface. I'm not a technical roads person, but they're basically going to be putting an overlay onto the concrete, and when they're done with when they're done doing the bridges. And we've been researching what are possible options, and one of those options is a rubberized cement, concrete cement, or concrete, it's RAC, rubberized asphalt concrete. That's been used in a number of different places all over the United States and in Europe and in Alaska. Well, it's part of the North America. And they've found wonderful success with that. However, when we talk to MnDOT about it, we are completely dismissed immediately. We're told that that product was used 20 years ago here in Minnesota and that it didn't work. Well, by gosh, I don't know about you, but I sure think a lot of technology and world has changed a great deal in 20 years. And maybe they've perfected that product since then. And maybe it's time to take a look at that, because already the noise level that goes on the freeway exceeds the state statutes. Now, I realize that there is a waiver for freeways, but MnDOT needs to be looking at that in terms of what they're doing to people's lives who are living on this lake. And we are a state that has prided itself in being environmentally friendly. The rubberized asphalt concrete is an environmentally friendly product because it uses something like 80,000 tires per square mile. It has also been shown to be safer and to last longer, have lower maintenance, and the cost is the same as regular concrete. So we're imploring anybody who can help with getting MnDOT off the dime and to consider doing this, or at least something to minimize and mitigate the noise that's being created by the freeway. Now is the opportunity, when they're already spending the money, taxpayer money, mind you, yours and my money, to rebuild the bridges, which is great, but to then overlay, repave, whatever it's called, the top couple of inches of the concrete on the freeway. And to get some kind of noise reduction would be very much appreciated.
Well, some are calling a busy bridge in the North Metro horrible and dangerous.
It's the Highway 97 County Road 23 bridge. It links Columbus and Forest Lake over Interstate 35.
MnDOT plans to rebuild the two-lane bridge in a few years, but some say that's not enough.
It's not big enough, it's not wide enough, it's dangerous.
This news report brought the failing and falling Highway 97 bridge to the region. But it's a well-known problem to the more than 50,000 people who pass through this interchange daily, and the businesses and hundreds of nearby jobs that depend on it.
The amount of traffic that comes in off of 35 and across the bridge is our lifeblood.
I mean, that's really the main artery to our customers who come from all over the county. We have 550 employees on a full-time basis, and seasonally, once the live racing starts, we add another 100 employees. So it's a huge employee base.
When school's in session, nearly 100 buses each morning travel over this bridge. The crumbling concrete and risky maneuvers that result from the agonizing backup put the kids and drivers in unnecessary danger. And this is the only interstate access for miles around.
Ultimately, a wider, higher capacity bridge is essential for this area. It's key to growth for this area. It's key for keeping businesses going.
There is a plan to replace the bridge, but that plan is part of the problem. It calls for redecking the bridge as is and closing the interchange to do so.
Oh, I think it'd be horrible.
How are we going to get to work?
That news was shocking to the commuters we spoke with, who were among the thousands weekly who catch a bus to downtown Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul.
That's kind of ridiculous. I think there should be another way. There are way more people up here getting on these buses, going to Minneapolis than anybody in the legislature understands.
Metro Transit runs 6 buses to Minneapolis each morning and 3 more to St. Paul. With standing room only on each route, that is hundreds of people every day who will be impacted. Closing the bridge is a death knell to local business leaders as well.
We would probably lose in excess of 60% of our business during the time that the bridge was pulled out. We would end up having to reduce our staff significantly.
The economic impact of this property is tremendous. So I think planning, I think phasing, I think really looking at taking a long-term view about how not to shut that bridge down.
And with the projected addition of 5,000 new households and 4,000 new jobs for a 50% increase in traffic, building from the same blueprint doesn't make sense. The closure of the bridge to accommodate the redecking will result in detours as long as 18 miles. That adds more than 20 additional minutes of travel time. It is simply an unworkable solution for common sense commuters.
Where would they put the bus stop?
If we want people to get to work on time, if we want people to keep their jobs, if we want people to be able to take the bus, which is something that, Metro Transit obviously wants, I think it would be a huge impact.
We would just like to make sure that the bridge work doesn't cut off the city, cut off the lifeblood of the city for the period of time that it takes to redo it.
It's about time and money, both precious resources. Let's put them to good use and build a bridge that truly addresses public safety, access, and traffic issues. It is the right solution for the region.